Welcome back to FryMinis. I'm Eric, and today in our Dragonlance Shadow of the Dragon Queen coverage, it's a big video today. We are talking about feats and backgrounds. And it's pretty complicated, kind of, but I think I finally figured out how we can talk about this in a way that makes sense in a video. When you're going through the book, it all makes sense, but can we break it down? Spend a little too much time trying to figure that out, but I've got it, and we're here and we're going to do it. When you're playing this campaign, you can have a regular background like an acolyte or a sailor or whatever, and you can do your own thing, and there are rules for that. But really, you should go with one of these two new backgrounds: a Knight of Solamnia, or Salami, however you want to read it based on my comments in my videos, or a Mage of High Sorcery. Those are the kind of two primary factions here, and each of those have kind of like specializations or like orders within them that each then get their own feat too. So there's a lot that goes into this, but I think we've got it. So you can have your own regular background, or you can pick one of these two, and really you should probably pick one of these two. I think that's kind of the main point of this, but you don't have to. Okay, so this campaign is kind of tough. You know, your characters, they're surrounded by war, so they're supposed to be kind of like battle hardened. So you get a feat. You get a bonus feat at level 1, and you get a bonus feat at level 4, in addition to all your normal kind of stuff. So if you are a variant human, yes, you get your variant human feat, and then you get this bonus feat. So they stack and everything like that. But there are pools. There are specific feats that you get. So if you go with, let's say, Knight of Solamnia is your background, you get a particular Squire feat. If you go, and then there's the same kind of thing for the Mage's High Sorcery. But if you're not one of those backgrounds, there are a couple of generic feats that you can pick. And then the same thing at level 4. If you've invested in those, you can take a new feat that improves your knighthood, improves your mage-idness. Or there's some really good options that are outside of those if you're playing something else. So let me give you a little overview very briefly of the factions. Okay, so the Knights of Solamnia, these are knights. So these are going to be your fighters, your paladins, your barbarians, your war clerics, whatever. So think of your marshals basically versus your casters. That's generally kind of the split here. So there are 3 orders within the Knights of Solamnia: the Knights of the Crown, the Knights of the Rose, and the Knights of the Sword. The Knights of the Crown serve the god Habakkuk and are all about loyalty and obedience, and they're kind of like the starters. The Knights of the Sword serve the god Kiri Jolith and are all about honor and heroic courage. And the Knights of the Rose serve the god Paladin, and they are all about honor, kind of and courage tempered through like wisdom, and they're kind of the smart leaders, I guess, of the group. And don't get me wrong, there's a lot more to these orders, in the book, but also just out there in the lore than that. But that gets you kind of in the ballpark for what we need for this. Now let me give you the same kind of information for the mages. Okay, so in kind of like a mirror version, the Mages of High Sorcery have 3 orders: the orders of the white robes, the order of the red robes, and the order of the black robes. Each of those kind of aligns to alignment of good, neutral, or evil, and that also aligns to one of the 3 moons. There's a good moon, a neutral moon, and an evil moon. So let's take a look real quick at what that means. The Order of the White Robes, those are the good people. They are aligned with Solinari. They are kind of just like your classic good guy kind of thing. The Order of the Red Robes, they follow Lunatari, and they're the neutral people. And it doesn't mean like a classic true neutral druid of where they just abstain from everything. Maybe they help the bad guys if the good guys are winning, and flip flop, and they can kind of be in the middle, and they need to find, they're like the equalizers. I mean, kind of like Anakin Skywalker to bring balance to the Force. And I mean, when you've got 1,000 Jedi and like 2 Sith, and when you bring balance to the Force, I still don't understand why the Jedi thought that meant to get rid of the Sith. That's as unbalanced as it gets. So Anakin Skywalker, red. And of course, the black robes are the evil people. They're like the selfish. They take care of their own needs first, kind of thing, with new Atari. And I don't want to make anybody mad here, especially the Dragonlance, the people more experienced with Dragonlance. But the way that these 3 groups, even though they're opposed to each other, they work together, and they're within this conclave. It reminds me of, and I haven't read the books, but I saw the Amazon show, Wheel of Time. I don't know which one came first, but how in Wheel of Time they have those they have like different color schools of magic users working together, and they're not always on the same page, but they still serve all together, which I think is a really cool dynamic. So no shade one way or the other, but so you've got the mages of high sorcery, and you've got the knights of Solamnia, and those are the 2 primary factions relevant here, at least for our backgrounds and our feats. So with that, now that we've got a base level knowledge of those 2 factions, let's first, before we get to the feats, let's look at the actual backgrounds of the 2 backgrounds. Knight of Solamnia. You have trained to be a valorous warrior known as a Knight of Solamnia. Strict rules guide your every action, and you work to uphold them as you strive to defend the weak and oppose evil. Your honor is as important to you as your life. Skill proficiencies, athletics and survival, languages, 2 of your choice, equipment, an insignia of rank, a deck of cards, a set of common clothes, and a pouch containing 10 gold pieces. Feature, Squire of Solamnia. You gain the Squire of Solamnia feat. In addition, the Knights of Solamnia provide you free, modest lodging and food at any of their fortresses or encampments. Okay, so that part's pretty straightforward. One thing this doesn't have are the like quirks and traits and background or personality traits and flaws and bonds, that kind of thing. If you use those, which I hope you do, I love using those, and all the PDFs that we put out over at FryMinis.com, patrons get them for free. We always include tables for those, for everything, for subclasses, for races, for everything that we do. That makes sense anyway. And I think they're really helpful when building your character to make it so it's not just, oh, here's another Boo Boo the Barbarian. Oh, Boo Boo loves to hit stuff. It gives you some fun stuff. So if you want, I would recommend probably just taking the tables, the personality traits, flaws, bonds, everything, from another background that you like. So if you want to be kind of like a basic knight here, take it from the soldier background or something. Building a Knight of Solamnia character, any class that has martial prowess can be a good fit in the Knights of Solamnia. Fighters and paladins make up the bulk of the knighthood's forces. Clerics, often with the war domain, can also be found among the knight's ranks. For a more unusual take on a Knight of Solamnia character, consider playing a bard of the College of Valor or College of Swords, or a barbarian devoted to the ideals of the nature god Hoopak, perhaps adopting the path of the zealot from Xanathar's. And we do get some trinket tables, which is nice. The Knights of Solamnia trinkets. When you make your character, roll once on the Knights of Solamnia trinkets table instead of on the trinket table in the player's handbook for your starting trinket. It's a d6 table. 1, a flat silver disc you record your heroics upon. 2, a piece of fallen knight's armor. 3, a pendant featuring a crown, a rose, or a sword. 4, the pommel of your mentor's sword. 5, a meaningful favor from someone you defended, perhaps a handkerchief or glove. 6, a locket with a sketch of a silver dragon inside. So I do think this gives a pretty good understanding of the kind of character you're probably going to play with this. So this whole campaign isn't, I mean, you of course you can do whatever you want, but theoretically isn't going to be like a typical campaign where you're just throwing out whatever and you're like, oh, I'm a private eye investigator gnome, or oh, I'm a lizard folk barbarian from the deep swamps and I'm just gonna eat everybody. Like, this is a little more classical fantasy, which I personally really like. So this, I think, does a good job of setting you kind of into a mold. And I know a lot of people feel like, oh, it's my character, I should be able to do whatever I want. But for me, I kind of like the idea of playing a character and like working within rules. I always find that a good set of rules to work within gives me the most creativity and inspiration to do something cool with. Because I suffer from analysis paralysis when I have too many options and I just, I don't know. So sometimes it's nice to have a bit of a filter. Mage of High Sorcery. Your talent for magic came to the attention of the Mages of High Sorcery, an organization of spellcasters that studies magic and prevents its misuse. You've trained among the mages, but whether you'll face the dangerous test required to become a full member of the group remains to be determined. Your passion for studying magic has likely already predisposed you toward one of the organization's 3 orders: the Benevolent Order of the White Robes, the Balance-Pursuing Order of the Red Robes, or the Ruthless Order of the Black Robes. In the world of Krynn, many refer to the Mages of High Sorcery as the Wizards of High Sorcery. The organization accepts more than wizards, though, with sorcerers, warlocks, and other spellcasters included among their ranks. Skill proficiencies: Arcana and History. Languages, 2 of your choice. Equipment: a bottle of colored ink, an ink pen, a set of common clothes, and a pouch containing 10 gold pieces. Feature: Initiate of High Sorcery. You gain the Initiate of High Sorcery feat, presented later in this chapter. In addition, the Mages of High Sorcery provide you with free, modest lodging and food indefinitely at any occupied tower of High Sorcery, or for one night at the home of an organization member. That one feels a little more straightforward. Like it seems like, at least just based strictly on what we've got here listed so far for the backgrounds, you can be a larger variety of kind of character type, it feels like. Building a Mage of High Sorcery character. Mages of High Sorcery are typically sorcerers, warlocks, or wizards, and might have any subclass. Spellcasters who gain their magic through devotion are less likely to be welcomed among the traditional mages. Nevertheless, the Mages of High Sorcery are shrewd, and they rarely let unique opportunities or individuals pass them by. Even members of martial classes who train in magic might find a rare place among the group's 3 orders. Mages of High Sorcery trinkets. When you make your character, roll once on the Mages of High Sorcery trinkets table instead of on the trinkets table in the player's handbook for your starting trinket. The Mages of High Sorcery trinkets table is a d6. 1. An unopened letter from your first teacher. 2. A broken wand made of black, red, or white wood. 3. A scroll bearing an incomprehensible formula. 4. A purposeless device covered in colored stones that can fold into various enigmatic shapes. 5. A pouch or spellbook emblazoned with triple moon symbol of the Mages of High Sorcery. 6. A lens through which you can see Krynn's invisible black moon, Nuatari. Those are pretty cool trinkets, though. All right, so we're going to start with our first level and then move to 4th level. I think that's going to give us the best flow kind of way to look at this. Okay, so up first, we're going to start with the Initiate of High Sorcery. Initiate of High Sorcery prerequisite: Dragonlance campaign, sorcerer or wizard class, or Mage of High Sorcery background. You've received training from magic users affiliated with the Mages of High Sorcery. Choose one of the 3 moons of Krynn to influence your magic: the Black Moon Nuatari, the Red Moon Lunatari, or the White Moon Solinari. You learn 1 cantrip of your choice from the wizard spell list and 2 first level spells based on the moon you choose as specified in the lunar spells table. You can cast each of these chosen first level spells without a spell slot, and you must finish a long rest before you can cast them in this way again. You also can cast these spells using any spell slots you have. Your spellcasting ability for this feat spells is Intelligence, Wisdom, or Charisma, chosen when you select this feat. Okay, notice those prerequisites. So you have to be in a Dragonlance campaign, and you have to be a sorcerer or wizard, or you have to be in a Dragonlance campaign and have the Mage of High Sorcery background. So that's how you can have a normal background, like if you want to be a sage background. How you can, if you're in the Dragonlance campaign, you can be a sage background wizard and then pick this feat up. And if you're a variant human or something that gives you a feat at first level, you could pick this, right, as your freebie. I mean, at the end of the day, it's basically a tweaked version of Magic Initiate. So it's I see no way for this to be overpowered. I think it's a good selection of spells, a nice variety that is flavorful to those moons and gods and robes, but that's cool. So alternatively, here is the Knights of Solamnia feat, the Squire of Solamnia. Squire of Solamnia, prerequisite Dragonlance campaign, fighter or paladin class, or Knight of Solamnia background. Your training in the ways of the Knights of Solamnia grants you these benefits. Mount up. Mounting or dismounting costs you only 5 feet of movement. Precise strike. Once per turn, when you make a weapon attack roll against a creature, you can cause the attack roll to have advantage. If the attack hits, you roll a d8 and add the number rolled as a bonus to the attack's damage roll. You can use this benefit a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus, but a use is expended only if the attack hits. You regain all expended uses when you finish a long rest. So this is really cool. So those prerequisites, again, kind of the same thing. Dragonlance campaign and a paladin or fighter, or Dragonlance and the Knights of Solamnia background. So you've got that same kind of wiggle room. But if you have the background of the Knight of Solamnia background, you're getting this feat. That's what you get. Mounting, dismounting, only taking 5 feet instead of half your movement. Totally makes sense. It's kind of like a classic knight type of thing. But this attack thing is really neat. Extra damage, giving yourself advantage. Like, that's always going to be super awesome. And it only burns the charge if the attack hits. I like it. I like this a lot. I think this is a really cool feat. Okay, and then if you have a background that doesn't give you a feat, such as one of these two, or if you're using some other background, you get to choose between skilled or tough. And they're both solid feats. Neither of those is going to be a game breaker. Tough, it's going to depend on the character, but I mean, you can put tough on a sorcerer to beef them up a little bit. You can put skilled on the barbarian to give them more flexibility. It works. These are both really solid feats that are applicable to virtually every character. Okay, so now 4th level, that's where things get a little different. So you're not locked in like you were before if you have one of the two backgrounds, where you, like if you have one of those backgrounds, that's the feat you're getting, unless you don't have one of these two backgrounds. At 4th level, you get to pick from this list, or the skilled or tough from earlier. So you unlock a new feat that is tied to the option that you took earlier. If you're one of the mages, if you're a knight, you just get to pick. Okay, so if you have the knight background, you can pick one of the other feats, and there's a new one that's one of the other feats too, that we'll get to in a minute. But okay, so now I'm going to show you the 3 feats that you can only pick if you are 4th level or higher and have the Squire of Solamnia feat. Knight of the Crown, prerequisite 4th level Squire of Solamnia feat. You are a Knight of Solamnia aligned with the Order of the Crown, a group that extols the virtues of cooperation, loyalty, and obedience. You excel in group combat and gain these benefits. Ability score increase. Increase your strength, dexterity, or constitution score by 1 to a maximum of 20. Commanding Rally. As a bonus action, you can command one ally within 30 feet of you to attack. If that ally can see or hear you, they can immediately make one weapon attack as a reaction. If the attack hits, the ally can roll a d8 and add the number rolled as a bonus to the attack's damage roll. You can use this bonus action a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus, and you regain all expended uses when you finish a long rest. Knight of the Rose, 4th level, Squire of Solamnia feat prerequisites. You are a Knight of Solamnia aligned with the Order of the Rose, a group known for leadership, justice, and wisdom. Your resolve grants you these benefits. Ability score increase your Constitution, Wisdom, or Charisma score by 1 to a maximum of 20. Bolstering Rally. As a bonus action, you can encourage one creature you can see within 30 feet of yourself. You can choose yourself. If the target can see or hear you, the target gains temporary hit points equal to 1d8 plus your proficiency bonus plus the ability modifier of the ability score increased by this feat. You can use this bonus action a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus, and you regain all expended uses when you finish a long rest. Knight of the Sword, prerequisite 4th level, Squire of Solamnia feat. You are a Knight of Solamnia aligned with the Order of the Sword, a group devoted to heroism and courage. Bravery steals your spirit, granting you these benefits. Ability score increases your intelligence, wisdom, or charisma score by 1 to a maximum of 20. Demoralizing Strike. Once per turn, when you hit a creature with a weapon attack roll, you can attempt to frighten that creature. The target must make a wisdom saving throw. DC equals 8 plus your proficiency bonus plus the ability modifier of the ability score increased by this feat. On a failed save, the target is frightened of you until the end of your next turn. On a successful save, the target has disadvantage on the next attack roll it makes before the end of its next turn. You can use this benefit a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus, and you regain all expended uses when you finish a long rest. I like them. I like the variety. I like that they're all themed. The actual abilities are themed to kind of where you're going with the actual order there. I like that the ability scores are predetermined too. I think that's really neat. The temporary hit points, I'm not sure about the scaling on that one, right? So D8 plus proficiency plus, let's say you're maxed out level 20 character, right? So you're looking at, let's say you get a perfect roll too. So 8 plus 6 plus 5. So 19 temporary hit points. I don't know. But the weapon attack things, I think those are super cool. Okay, so now the Mages of High Sorcery, 4th level feats. So these, remember in that initiate feat, you had to pick one of the Nuatari, Lunatari, Solitari. And so all of these are going to be restricted to the option that you picked in that feat. So if you picked Lunatari there, you're getting Lunatari here, which I think makes sense. Adept of the Black Robes, prerequisite 4th level, Initiate of High Sorcery, Nuatari feat. You chose the moon Nuatari to influence your magic, and your ambition and loyalty to the Order of Black Robes has been recognized, granting you these benefits. Ambitious Magic. You learn one 2nd level spell of your choice. The 2nd level spell must be from the Enchantment or Necromancy School of Magic. You can cast this feat's 2nd level spell without a spell slot, and you must finish a long rest before you can cast it in this way again. You can also cast the spell using spell slots you have of the appropriate level. The spell's spellcasting ability is the one chosen when you gain the Initiate of High Sorcery feat. Life Channel. You can channel your life force into the power of your magic. When a creature you can see within 60 feet of you fails a saving throw against a spell that deals damage that you cast, you can expend a number of hit dice equal to the level of the spell. Roll the expended hit dice and add them together. The damage that the creature takes increases by an amount equal to that total. Adept of the Red Robes, prerequisite 4th level, Initiate of High Sorcery, Lunatari feat. You chose the moon Lunatari to influence your magic, and your dedication to maintaining the balance between all things has been recognized by the Order of the Red Robes, granting you these benefits. Insightful Magic. You learn one 2nd level spell of your choice. The 2nd level spell must be from the Illusion or Transmutation School of Magic. You can cast this feat's 2nd level spell without a spell slot, and you must finish a long rest before you can cast it in this way again. You can also cast the spell using spell slots you have of the appropriate level. The spellcasting modifier is the one you chose when you gain the initiative high sorcery feat. Magical balance. When you make an attack roll or an ability check and roll a 9 or lower on the d20, you can balance fate and treat the roll as a 10. You can balance fate in this way a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus, and you regain all expended uses when you finish a long rest. Adept of the White Robes. Prerequisite 4th level, initiative high sorcery, Solanari feat. You chose the moon Solanari to influence your magic, and your oath to use magic to make the world a better place has been recognized by the Order of the White Robes, granting you these benefits. Protective magic. You learn one 2nd level spell of your choice. The 2nd level spell must be from the Abjuration or Divination School of Magic. You can cast this feat 2nd level spell without a spell slot, and you must finish a long rest before you can cast it in this way again. You can also cast the spell using spell slots you have of the appropriate level. The spell's spellcasting ability is the one chosen when you gain the initiate of high sorcery feat. Protective ward. When you or creature you can see within 30 feet of you takes damage, you can use your reaction to expend a spell slot and weave protective magic around the target. Roll a number of d6 equals to the level of spell slot expended and reduce the damage the target takes by the total rolled on those dice plus your spellcasting ability modifier. Whew, okay. That was a lot, right? Thanks for sticking with me. Cool. I like them. Getting a 2nd level spell is always great. There's tons of great 2nd level spells. I think like from all those schools, whatever. I think that's really neat. But of course, I like the extra little bits on there. You've got what's basically blood magic. You've got, I never want to fail an ability check again. And you've got like a Abjurer's Ward coming out of nowhere, throwing in some D6s. It's great. I think every single one of those is excellent. Which one do you like the most? Let me know in the comments, because those, I think you could get into some really, really cool builds with this. Okay, so those 6 feats, those are the ones that are tied to 4th level and your knighthood or magehood. So we have a couple regular ones which we'll hit through, but we also have a brand new one that I also really like. Divinely Favored. Prerequisite 4th level Dragonlance campaign. A god chose you to carry a spark of their power. You learn one cantrip of your choice from the cleric spell list and one 1st level spell based on the alignment of your character as specified in the alignment spells table below. You also learn the augury spell. You can cast the chosen 1st level spell and the augury spell without a spell slot, and you must finish a long rest before you can cast either of these spells in this way again. You can also cast these spells using spell slots you have of the appropriate level. Your spellcasting ability for this feat spell is Intelligence, Wisdom, or Charisma. Choose when you select this feat. In addition, you can use a holy symbol as a spellcasting focus for any spell you cast that uses the spellcasting ability you choose when you select this feat. Alignment spells. Evil, choose one 1st level warlock spell. Good, choose one 1st level cleric spell. And neutral, choose one 1st level druid spell. There you go. Alignment restrictions. When was the last time you saw alignment restrictions? I mean, really, that is not a common thing. But I think this is cool. Augury can be really, really great. I think it'll vary dramatically based on your table and how things operate for you. But it can be really, really good. Getting a cantrip and a 1st level spell is always nice. And having like this different, like it's from it can be from whole other classes spell lists, or maybe you're a fighter, I don't know, and you pick this up and you're gonna get hex. Like, oh come on. If you're an evil fighter and you're throwing out hex and you don't have to worry about spell slots or anything, Side note, 99% of the time unless you're in like a conversation situation. Hex that strength, knock them prone, get advantage on that attack. Love it. Oh my gosh. Oh, that's good. I like it. I like it a lot. And the holy symbol. I think that's really nice little flavor there. I'm not sure how much that would come up with anything, but that's cool. And the other feat options you get here are alert, mobile, sentinel, and warcaster. All 4 are just great. Every single one of those is a phenomenal feat that makes that's so good. The only like sentinel, by the way, if you don't know, put sentinel on your rogue. Unless we're talking about one D&D where you can only sneak attack on your turn. Put sentinel on your rogue and just get extra sneak attacks all day long. It's not just for polearm people. Really, really, really great. Okay, so I know that was long, but that was a lot. And that's why I had such a big pause between the last video and this one of it was a busy work day, but also just trying to figure out how in the world to put this together in a way that makes sense to me. And I hope that makes sense to you. I'm sure when you get the book, eventually you'll see it all for yourself and figure out how it works for you. But how I presented it there, that structure makes the most sense to me. I think that's a really neat system. It seems elaborate, but in reality it's not super elaborate. I think it's definitely doable. You might have, if you run this campaign and you use those rules, you might have to explain it a little bit at the start when people hit first and then fourth again, but it's not a big deal. I like it. Really neat. Let me know what you think. We'll get more videos out, but I am going to take a little pause to play some of that Pokemon. So if anybody wants to be my friend, let me know and we can do Pokemons together. I don't know. Leave a comment, like, subscribe, share, blah, blah. Thank you. Bye.